us on this conversation by contextualizing in specific terms what is the role, what are the roles of the media in a democracy? Why do we need decent voices? And the last one, which might be a little bit tricky, is whether, in your opinion, you really think that government institutions in Nigeria engage the media with utmost regard for media independence and the obligation for accountability. Thank you.
So, thank you for the opportunity to be on this panel and to say that flowing from the presentation by Professor Iridia, I want to say that 98% of all that he said, I'm in total agreement. Not because he was my boss in television, but because he said what is just right. However, there are one or two things that probably one would like to dissent, on. This thing about Ghana, for instance, having inserted a clause in their constitution giving freedom, may be good for the optics. But operationally, Ghana is as rotten as any country can be in terms of media freedom. I'm sure most people here know about that famous investigative journalist called Anas, who wears that curtain or veil of beads on his face, who said that no story is worth the life of a journalist, and that any story he does, if he doesn't get death threats, he will consider that story as not being well done. His own colleague and assistant, Ahmed Salim, was shot 3 times in the heart and 2 times on the neck, and he died. And I know of stories. And Nana Akufo, who have been, the sense I want to make of this is that, and I want to take from the words of the late Mala Adam Chiroma, famous journalist and subsequently minister in Nigerian government and governor of Central Bank as well. What he said was that freedom of the press in the country is there. Take as much as we can. And then, so it takes courage, it takes training, it takes understanding of the mission. When he said journalists would cringe before publisher because the owner says no, I think that we had Bayo Onanuga, editor of African Concord. African Concord ran the cover story saying, Babangida, as president of Nigeria, said that he's puzzled by the way the economy, that he's surprised that the economy is still alive. And the publisher ran with it. And when he saw it in print, black and white, it possibly shocked him. And with due regards to the late MKO, can I use the word to say, they squeezed his balls. And the late MKO Abdullah asked African Concord to apologize to the government of Nigeria, President Babangida, for the story that they ran. And Bayo put down his resignation and left. So we have good examples. I think the point, and I want to use maybe the little part of this time that I have, maybe point at things that we as journalists, we probably will be doing to advance the conversation, the space, so that the society will be better for it. I'll give you this, and I'm sorry, I understand, of course, IPI is for adults. This is the adult arm of government, of media, and as Kabiru has said it himself. So don't be offended when we cite some of the adult narratives that can be said. Some married man went before his parish priest and wanted to make a confession. And the man said, I almost had an affair. So the priest said, what sort of thing did you do? He said, I took a charming lady. Please don't feel offended. To an apartment. we undressed, and we were robbing each other. Then I stopped. So he stopped. So his priest said, that doesn't make any difference. Robbing one another, and putting in are one and the same thing. So you have committed an offense. So he said, never you see that woman again. 1. 2, go and say Holy Mary prayer 5 times. And thirdly, put 50,000 naira inside the poor box. So the man moved aside, sat down and prayed Holy Mary, and then brought out the bundle, 50,000, and moved to the poor box. He rubbed it on the box and put back money in his pocket and was going out. So the priest said, see, I see you are going. You didn't put the money inside the box. He said, but you just said something, that robbing together and putting in are the same thing. So what is my fault there? So my sense, and the professor gave away and took back in some cases. Because my sense is that we as professionals need a further understanding of our profession. He has asked for that. And those people, and I'm happy in this room, we have people from the Secret Service, the police, and everyone. So that, look, engage them, and that we can use that engagement to expand the space for media freedom.
Okay.
We take it for granted that they understand us. This thing about they are down, I'm not sure the idea is they are looking down at us. They probably don't understand us. I will continue from here.
Do you mean the government do not understand journalists?
Operatives of government at on many layers don't understand journalists. Otherwise, in any case, we are all members of the society. Journalists are feared. Journalists are respected. They are wooed. They are wooing you. Say it.
So I will come back to you, Mr. Garbasho, because what you have just said now is very germane for me. I think it confirms my fear over the time that perhaps government institutions probably do not have very clear understanding of the role of the media in a democracy. But this coming from a former spokesperson, I think we have somewhere to start our interrogation of the role of the media in a democracy. But I will go to Mr. Waziri Adio. So, of course, I'm sure you're familiar with emerging concerns across multiple sectors of the country that the civic space is shrinking. The keynote speaker established, today, maybe some things that we've all always said in our smaller spaces, that Nigeria does not have media freedom. Section 22 of the Constitution that confers the accountability obligation on the media to hold powerful interests, including those in government to power, remains non-justiciable. So I would like you to tell us, do you align with that view that the civic space is shrinking? And then what are your assessment of media freedom? What are your assessment of the civic space itself? What are the trends that has so far given you hope, and what are the aspects that give you concerns?
Okay, thank you very much. Thanks everyone. Thanks IPI for doing this and for the honor of for inviting me to be part of this. So when you say the civic space is shrinking, and I've heard that a lot, and people say it not just in Nigeria, but also, in other places. But if we talk specifically about Nigeria, when you say something is shrinking, right, you are also inviting some kind of comparison. my sense is you are saying it's like this before, now it's getting smaller.